Greetings. Let's see. Less, more, maybe better. Who knows? Well, I've been wanting to sharpen my knife for a while now. Oh, I forgot all the paper. Man. See what I got. No time like the present. I'm not sure which stone I want to start with. I think I'll start with this one. How's everybody doing tonight? I'm going to go with the old Shapton ceramic orange medium K0702. I should have grabbed, I'll be right back. I'm back. Glad you guys didn't leave. Oh, maybe you did. Some people might have left. Well, fine. Be that way. Oh, that's not good. Probably should change cameras. I should get my GoPro set up. Maybe see, adjust the. There you go. Now you guys can see a little action. So, let's see. Cut up something important here. Top secret. Any of that mumbo jumbo mean anything to you guys? Good pliers. Aluminum. Depth of cut. Some speeds and feeds. So my knife isn't real bad, but it's but it's not where I like it. I didn't bring my glasses either. I'm going to take here and knock the edge off because I want a clean slate. Going to try something new. So I filmed some footage that is in the process of being edited. Unfortunately, the person who was supposed to be doing the edit hasn't got it done. Just kind of one of those deals, which is fine. I'm going to try something new with sharpening. I don't typically do edge leading strokes, but I watched a video the other day where they talked about not creating a burr, and it kind of intrigued me, and I wanted to try it, so we're going to try it. The problem is I should have brought my eyeballs with me. So what's going on? Who's out there? How's your week going? See if anybody. Let me see if I can. This is top chat, live chat. There we go. Learn more. It's kind of funny. People might be surprised at how much content I watch or read or whatever in regards to sharpening. I could easily just say, I know how to sharpen. I don't need to learn anything else. You know, I can get a knife sharp. But for whatever reason, you hear people say, you don't know what you don't know. And I'm always willing to listen to somebody else's perspective and see what they know and then try it out for myself. Because Lord knows I've been wrong plenty of times in life. And I think it's good to be able to listen, to be humble, and to be willing to try something new. So that's what we're doing tonight. Hello, Tina. Hello, Michelle. So I'm always leery of reading somebody's name online. Afraid I'm going to get it wrong. Like the I don't even know what movie that is. Or what, if it's Saturday Night Live or what, but Aaron. It's definitely different cutting into the stone. Just the feeling, especially, I would not want to try this on a softer stone because it'd be easy to gouge the stone. It's also kind of funny watching people sharpen on YouTube. You can definitely tell. I've watched here recently. I've watched some videos of some pretty successful makers and people talking about sharpening, and they do a little bit of sharpening on the stone, and you can tell that they don't sharpen knives by hand. They're using a machine or paying somebody else to sharpen their knives or something. But it's pretty entertaining to watch. But, they're trying to get views, and it works. I mean, some of these people already have pretty large audiences, so they're just trying to fill a void, put out some more content. I'm looking to see if light is reflecting off the edge, which would work a lot better if I had my glasses, because they're not, they're just, I just buy reading glasses. My sight is getting worse, but it's not. I went to the eye doctor probably in the last 6 months. He's like, "You really don't need glasses." And I'm like, "Well," he's like, "You could just keep doing what you're doing with reading glasses." I'm like, "Yeah, well, I'd kind of like to get a prescription, just have something." Because, reading glasses, they're fine to wear when you're looking at something up close, but it's not like you can keep them on and look around. And I guess probably what I would have would be bifocals or something like that. So it'd just be more convenient to not have to take the glasses off when I'm looking around and doing whatever. I might have taken off too much of this edge. I did not expect it to take so much work to get the burr raised back up. Probably should have took it to something a little more aggressive than this 1,000 grit. And this is kind of new to me. This is kind of, I mean, I've tried sharpening a knife this way before, and that's a lot why I teach the way that I do, is because it was a lot easier for me to learn how to sharpen. Excuse me. Sharpening was a lot easier for me once I started doing edge trailing strokes. And so that's the way I've always taught it. And I've played around with cutting into the stone like this before, but never really, not a lot, for several different reasons. But one, this is probably what most people feel like when I'm trying to teach them how to sharpen a knife, and it feels really foreign to them. I'm getting there. Hey, by the way, if you guys need a hat, there's one more left on the website. Winter is not over, so if you want to get one before you won't need one as much, then now's the time. And if you haven't seen the new Talon knife, I think there's 10 left on the site, so get while the getting's good. I thought about sharpening this one up. Somebody mentioned, and we'll kind of talk about it, but this edge is not perfectly straight. And the reason being is I'm sharpening these on a belt system, and it's very difficult with this thin of an edge to keep a completely true flat edge. So if you get one and you're like, "Oh, that edge ain't straight," no, it's not. I do my best to keep them straight, but this has got a little kind of a hump in there. However, when you sharpen them, if I sharpen them on a stone, then those high spots will work down, and they'll it could be straight. If you're gonna sharpen your knife, when I take it to the stone, it's going to hit those high spots. Let me see if you can see this here. See if I can get it in the camera. It's going to hit those high spots, and over a sharpening or two, you could get it perfectly straight. Functionally speaking, you don't need it to be perfectly straight. you need it to be sharp, right? If you're obsessive compulsive like I am, maybe you want it straight. The stones is the way to go with that. If you want to, contact me. If you're like, I want a knife that's just perfectly straight, we could work something out. It's going to cost. I don't sharpen these knives, these production knives, by hand. Back in the early days, when I started out, I sharpened all of my knives by hand, from no burr all the way up. And I probably spent, in the early days, I spent 30 minutes to an hour and a half sharpening every single knife that I sent out. Now with a machine, it probably takes me, if I'm just counting straight machine time, I sharpen about 7 knives in a half an hour. So 7 times faster than sharpening by hand, 7 to 21 times faster, actually, depending on, what you're doing. So it's just not feasibly possible for me to sharpen. Well, it's possible. I would sell a lot less knives, and I'd spend a lot more time doing this. So that's that. I used to have 2 pairs. As I got older, switched to bifocals. It was a big. Yeah. So I think my eyesight's always been fairly, decent, not great, but decent. And so years ago, when they gave me I remember they gave me some, they weren't bifocals, but they were like the transition. They're supposed to kind of like train you for bifocals or whatever. But I've never really wore glasses consistently. I tried contacts for a little while. But now anymore, if I'm doing anything that requires precision, I'm wearing them. If I'm sharpening knives, typically, like right now, I would be wearing them. Thankfully, I can sharpen blindfolded. Because it's a lot, and just repetition, muscle memory. Some people say there's no such thing as muscle memory. Hey, Tom. So, where's everybody tuning in from? What part of the country are you in? How's the weather? I know some people just got snow. Yesterday, we had beautiful weather. It was like almost 70 or 70, sun shining. My kids went swimming in the pond. I almost told them not to, but it's like, yeah, they're having fun. But yeah, the kids were swimming in the pond, and that had to be cold. Our pond is spring fed. So, but they're tough. They don't know it. They had fun. They had a blast. So. $72 here right now. Nice. Today was not as warm, cloudy. We're supposed to get some rain, I think, in the morning. 30% chance of rain tomorrow. So, Tina, 62. Nice. Yeah, let's see. I'm not sure where it was in Florida, but somebody said the other day they got like 6 inches in Florida. It's kind of crazy. I feel like it definitely doesn't have a burr, but it's starting to feel. This is something. So when people ask about the edge trailing versus edge leading, sharpening, here's my logic behind why I do edge trailing is one is your sharpening stone. If you were to zoom in on it and look at it, it looks like a gravel road. It's not smooth. I mean, that's what's doing the cutting. It's cutting steel off of the blade. So my logic is if you're cutting into the stone with that blade, the edge is coming in contact with stuff that's going to damage it. Okay. Versus when you're doing edge trailing, the edge can just kind of float over, or it can cut, just like I reference it like sharpening a pencil, right? Like you don't take a pencil and try to shave it down from the top. You cut out to the point, and when you cut out to the point, you get out to the very end, it cuts clean. Well, what the burr actually is as you're peeling that steel away and it gets to the edge and it's too weak to support, it just rolls over. And so that's why you get that rolling over of the burr. When you are cutting into the stone, you still get a burr because there's still a part of that edge that's too weak for when it runs into something. When it runs into something, something's got to give, right? So typically the stone is going to cut and start taking a cut back towards the bevel. If there's not enough there to support it, then it's going to roll up. And that roll up is going to create that burr on the top of the knife. So the burr is always formed on the opposite side of the knife from where you're sharpening. So the deal is when you create a burr with edge trailing strokes, the burr is a lot larger. So what does that mean for beginners? Well, for beginners, it's a lot easier to tell when you've created that burr. The burr created when you do edge leading passes, it's minimal. So it's a smaller burr, harder to detect. So that's kind of the thought of people that say, oh, you should do edge leading passes, is they want to minimize the burr. And so what I was watching the other day was talking about, like, he's not even going to create a burr. He's going to get a clean slate, sharpen right up to apex the knife, and then put a micro bevel on it. Because the act of creating a burr could cause some stresses in the edge that would make it not as robust. So that's what I'm playing around with and just experimenting, seeing how it works. So Pensacola, 83 tomorrow, or set 83 tomorrow. I'll take that kind of weather. Actually, I'm looking for a nice spring because I got to lay some block, and I don't want to lay block in 83-degree weather. So it's freezing, New Hampshire. Yesterday we had 40 degrees, and I thought it was a heat wave. Yeah, it's funny what feels warm is totally what you've gotten used to. 40 degrees would feel like a heat wave if you're used to -20. So yeah, even though I know how to sharpen a knife better than most, I've sharpened thousands of knives, I'm still always trying to find out what I don't know. And I've set some goals for myself that I still haven't achieved as far as when it comes to sharpness. I don't know if I'll ever achieve them, but I pretty well like setting impossible goals. And I like trying new stuff. So eventually I hope to do a bunch of reviews on different stones that I have. This actually is a newer stone that I picked up, and it is a diamond stone. Just take a pass or two on this. It's actually quite a bit smoother, finer than this 1000, but being that it has diamond in it. I found out there is I actually just got on a waiting list for a stone that only comes available every 4 or 5 years or so. And so I spoke with somebody the other day and said, "Hey, how do I get one of those stones?" Oh, wow. And he's like, "Well, I could put you down on a list, and when they come available, uh, let you know." I was like, "Yep, put me down." So people that want one of my knives and have to wait, they could be consoled with the fact that I've got to wait on stuff too. Can you demonstrate both of those? Edge leading and edge trailing. Yeah. So edge trailing would be, moving away from the cutting edge. And then what I'm doing on this knife here is edge leading. So cutting into the stone. And you wouldn't want to do this on a stone that's soft because it's easy to gouge. Like you wouldn't do this on a leather strop either. So it's losing its slickness. So I feel that edge and I start trying to feel how smooth it is. Sharpening takes time. Yeah, this is not. Still don't have an edge there. I like my way of just going until you raise a big burr and then removing it. However, I'm going to keep trying this method till I get it. So, need to do some need to flatten the stone, and I started to flatten it earlier till it was shaking the whole table, and I decided to wait on that. Wouldn't make for good viewing. I was like, yeah, I should have. I had a tripod. I was gonna film. I was gonna do YouTube with my phone, but my phone was almost dead, and also it's hard for me to see the comments on my phone. So I grabbed my laptop. One thing the thing about having super steels, really hard, high hardness super steels like this Magna Cut, is they're going to take longer to sharpen. And now I have diamond stones I could be using. There's different things I could do to speed this up, but I also am not really in a hurry, and I want it to kind of be a little more slow and deliberate in trying this. So, because I kind of enjoy sharpening, really, until I decide I'm done. The crazy thing about sharpening too is literally night and day difference in just a handful of passes. And so with this technique that I'm trying to hit the nail on the head. I'm trying to only apex the edge and not take it past that. And so it's going to be an even slower, more tedious process. I wish, I can't remember the guy's name. It was Cliff something, but I wish I could go and learn from him. But unfortunately, he is no longer alive. So there's also a guy, I've watched a ton of his videos. I think it's like Virtue Vice, and he's over in Japan. I would love to go sit down and sharpen knives with him. I had the privilege of, I still have some knives that he sharpened, and they don't feel really sharp, but when it comes to the work that they do, I was amazed. So sometimes it's not necessarily about how sharp a knife feels, but how it performs. It all comes down to blade geometry. The type of steel, the type of steel is important, but probably the blade geometry is extremely important. The angles of the blade, and there's just so much to it to like really have a good performing knife. I picked up a Lansky knife sharpening kit a couple years ago. Works okay, but now I want to try this. Yeah, man, I really suggest that everybody learn hand sharpening. Those systems are great. However, I almost messed up. I almost did edge trailing. Those systems are great, but they have their limitations. They're cumbersome. They're slow. However, one place they do excel is if I know what angle I want my knife sharpened at, I can set it and I can have repeatable angles and, all that. Like, I pretty well know what angle I'm sharpening at within reason, and I can adjust it. But no matter what, not every pass is going to be exactly the same. What you're doing when you develop the skill of sharpening is you're upping your percentage of accuracy. And the higher your percentage of accuracy is, the quicker you can get an edge. So it's getting better. This is not particularly the best paper. So I probably have somewhat an edge established to about here, from about here to here. Two places people often miss are the tip and the heel. Here I am going to go edge trailing strokes again, just out of habit. That's the other thing about this guy's video I was watching. He was talking about right before you apex it or right as you apex it, then using a lot less pressure, which makes sense. However, Stones kind of require a certain amount of pressure to actually be doing any cutting. So the I'm just thinking about sharpening people's thoughts. What's he doing? Just wasting his time. No, this is kind of like I'd say meditation, not like it's I find it enjoyable. I used to say that, making knives wasn't my passion. And that's probably, somewhat true, but sharpening kind of is I would say more of a passion of mine. Just trying to do better, trying to just enjoying the process. It's a challenge. I think I like the challenge of sharpening. And it's kind of funny too, because in some ways, doing it in front of trying something new on YouTube is a little intimidating because everybody's watching. They'll see the failures. They'll be like, that guy doesn't know what he's doing. Look at that. And the thing is, that's true. I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to this form of sharpening. But if you guys stick around long enough, I might know a thing or two. Ooh, so impressive. We're getting super close. Kind of feel like one of those reels, where you're like, just wait. And then you never see anything. You should put links on your websites for knives, hats. For some reason, I'm not getting my notification. I'm going to. You should put links on your website for knives, hats, and some reason. Links on my. So, if you want a knife, the Genesis are always in stock. The Talons are in stock right now. I shouldn't say the Genesis are always in stock, but they're in stock. I don't have very many. I haven't had a custom knife available in quite some time. I'm starting the production of the next limited edition run of knives for my stakeholders. And for you people that don't know, I have 100 stakeholders in 20 whatever it was, 14, however many years ago it was. I'm a journeyman lineman. I was working for the power company, and I was making knives in the nights and weekends, evenings, stuff like that. And I wanted to work from home, be with my family, because I was under the delusion that I would have more time to spend with them working from home. uh, and nah, working from home is good, but it's not what people think it is sometimes. But anyways, to transition from my excellent paying job, benefits, holidays, all that kind of jazz, to full-time knife making, we put together this stakeholder program. So I have 100 stakeholders, and what it was they got the first knife. So what they were paying for is their position and the first knife. And any sequential limited edition runs that I did, they have the first right of refusal. They own their number. So they all were numbered. Hey, Gooey. Thanks. I know nothing about knives, so in my eyes, you're a genius. Thanks, Tina. Cool. So I have 100 stakeholders, and what the idea was is that I was going to have enough work to go from. It was kind of twofold, right? It was one, I had worked hard to try to get out of debt, and the idea was is that with this launch, I could pay off all of our debt and be debt free, knock the knives out, and yeah, start rocking and rolling. So, needless to say, you can't borrow enough money to get out of debt. So, in my mind, we were going to get out of debt. Everything was going to go smoothly, get the knives done, and yeah, we'd be off on a good start. In reality, the knives took 3-4 times as long as I had anticipated. The money was gone, and I still had a lot of work to fulfill. So I transferred my debt from a bank, a soulless institution, to 100 wonderful people who believed in me, who supported me, and who wanted to see me succeed. And you talk about pressure. It's not too stressful. I mean, it can be, but it's not as stressful to owe money to a bank as it is owing it to people, and not just anybody, but people who trusted in you that you were going to provide them a service. And so, anyways, these stakeholders, there's 100 of them, and they have first right of refusal on any limited edition runs that I do. And there was no guarantee to how many limited edition runs I was going to do or when I was going to do them. Obviously, I had hoped to do a ton. Like, I'd hoped to do several, a couple offerings a year. I quickly realized that that was not feasible. And so, anyways, I've only done 4 runs of limited edition knives, and this is going to be the 5th one. So, stakeholders have first right of refusal, and pretty much a high percentage of my stakeholders buy their knife. If they don't want to buy it, then I'll sell it for them. And when I sell it for them, I send them the difference between the stakeholder cost and what I sell them to the public. So it kind of a little bit of a ROI. I've had 2 stakeholders sell their position. Both positions brought. So the stakeholder launch, the stakeholder cost originally was $550, and my website crashed. And quickly I went from it sold out in like 6 minutes, under 7 minutes. So quickly, here I'm doing edge trailing just out of habit. So I raised a bunch of money, like more money than I'd ever raised in like 6 minutes. It's pretty crazy. So stakeholders get first opportunity to buy any limited edition run. They buy most of them. And then I also give stakeholders the opportunity to buy other stakeholder positions that don't sell. And so typically, very few of the limited edition knives get sold, but some do get sold. So, anyways, if you're signed up on the mailing list, then whatever's available will get released to the public. 2 positions have sold. Both of them sold for over $2,000, I believe. And I haven't had any sell in a while. But if you're on my mailing list, when one comes available, I will help facilitate the sale for the stakeholder. So I'll put it out to all my subscribers and say, hey, here's a position available. And typically it's going to be an auction. I had one stakeholder who was going to sell and didn't quite understand how it worked. He's like, hey, I want to sell my position. What do I need to do? And I'm like, well, you just give me the person's information and you give them the first knife. And he's like, what? I got to give him the first knife? I'm like, yeah, that's the position. And he's like, I didn't know that. He's like, I don't want to get rid of it. I'm like, well, that's just kind of how it works. And so then he decided not to sell. But this tip is very, very pointy, but still not as stabby. Oh, I shouldn't say that on YouTube. Maybe I might get banned. Not as pointy as I'd like. Having a sharp point is really nice because this is a really thick envelope, but you should be able just to dig it into something. And this still needs a little bit of work. So anyways, that's kind of the whole stakeholder position. And then on top of that, I would make some custom knives. I used to take orders for custom knives. I no longer take orders for custom knives. I just make what I want to make. And if you want to buy a knife that I make, then great. But I like the freedom to be able to make what I want to make and not necessarily make what somebody else wants to make. I'm more than happy, though, if somebody wants something. I know other makers that I can recommend. If there's something in particular that you're looking for, that's not something that I really do, I'm more than happy to give you a recommendation of another great maker. I don't recommend just any willy-nilly makers, but I do know some that are really, really good at what they do and could point you in the right direction. There we're getting there. Slow and steady. My daughter's over there selling you guys everything, selling you the farm. This is no. That's the other thing he was talking about, how, and I would agree with, it's easy to mess an edge up when it comes to stropping. I've never really, I'm a real big advocate of stropping on a newspaper for you youngins. If you're watching and you don't know what a newspaper is, it's kind of like YouTube, but on paper, or kind of like Google, but it came out on paper. And anyways, the newspaper was a certain type of paper that was a little bit some newspaper worked better than others for stropping. All right, I'm going to do some super light passes. All right. Hey, Gooey, bring me some paper. I'm not trying to shave, just trying to feel the edge. Better than Amazon Prime. I had a friend that was he's all about automation, and he's got his house all automated. He can say, Alexa, turn on the lights and turn on the music and set the temperature and yada yada yada. And I'm like, that's cute. I've got kids. They can do things that automation can't. You want to be famous? I was actually going to tell you to bring some. I had some junk printouts. I accidentally printed, but that's fine. That'll work. Thank you. You're not eating all my ice cream, are you? Nope. Probably taking advantage of Dad being online. Yeah. Let's see. This is no stropping, so. And this is also just a 1,000 grit, which is a medium stone. Plenty. I do 1 stone sharpenings all the time. I wonder what angle. I'm probably probably about 19 or 20. All right. Well, I wish I had a strop here just because This is definitely not as good as I'd like. But it's not bad. See if I can cut some. I'll throw it on this stone real quick. Go to the Shapton 5000, whatever it is, blue medium. I think it's like a 5000, maybe 3. I don't know. Want to do some edge trailing strokes. I have a Bessie tester that I want to play with some more. It's a scale with a filament that you cut, and it gives you a reading, some numbers. Hey, man, thanks, Tina, for coming. You have a great night. I'm going to be jumping off here soon, too. Wow, look there. Little party girls. There's something on the edge there I missed there on the heel. Let's see. There's a spot on this heel that's not quite right. No, I just gouged my stone. That'll teach it. Hey, thanks for Corbin. What's up? Thanks for you guys dropping in, hanging out. Appreciate it. Did it pass your bedtime, Corbin? Judah is doing good. Earlier, he was cleaning a buffalo hide. Not sure what he's up to right now. We got a buffalo hide from a friend, and he is tanning it. Let's see. Oh, yeah, you guys can see that. That's not bad. Not bad. There's that. Right in there. Needs a lot of work. Go back to my old ways. Good night, Corbin. All right, well, I think I'm about ready to call it. If I had a strop up here, I'd strop this thing, and then it'd be crazy sharp, but it's not. I've definitely had sharper. It'll do. It'll do. Good enough for the girls I go with. Oh, wait. Yeah. All right, I can go ruin it now. Let me see. Yeah, it's late. So when I was talking about the point of the knife, I like it to be kind of piercy. All right. Well, you guys have a good night. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. Smash the thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll be back here another time. Not real good at planning things, but maybe one day I'll actually have a schedule and show up when you guys can expect it. But until then, hit the bell because I will just randomly decide I'm going to spend an hour playing around sharpening a knife like I don't know what I'm doing. So thanks, Tom. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Tina. We'll see you next time. This is Patrick Rohrman with MT Knives. Have a good night.